Okay, it looks like we've got some breaking news with Vince McMahon, who we haven't heard from in a while. He sort of seems to be living in seclusion these days, and understandably so. But it looks like he's cleared at least one hurdle, and this is from ESPN.com. Former WWE CEO Vince McMahon, SEC reached deal over settlements. And this is from the Associated Press at about 11 o'clock this morning. The Securities and Exchange Commission says it has settled charges against former WWE CEO Vince McMahon over his failure to disclose to the sports entertainment company's board and others that he signed two settlement agreements worth $10.5 million with two women in order for them not to reveal potential claims against himself and WWE. So this doesn't have anything to do with the Janelle Grant lawsuit, which I'll get into in a little bit. And it doesn't have anything to do with the sexual trafficking investigation that's going on. But it looks like I said, he's cleared one hurdle. The SEC said McMahon, without admitting or denying its findings, agreed to cease and desist from violating certain provisions, pay a $400,000 civil penalty, and reimburse WWE approximately $1.3 million. Quote, today ends nearly 3 years of investigation by different governmental agencies. There has been a great deal of speculation about what exactly the government was investigating, what the outcome would be. As today's resolution shows, much of that speculation was misguided and misleading, end quote, McMahon said in a statement. In the end, there was never anything more to this than minor accounting errors with regard to some personal payments that I made several years ago while I was CEO of WWE. I'm thrilled that I can now put all this behind me. Well, I guess that's one way to look at it. Okay. Manhattan federal prosecutors declined to comment. McMahon resigned from WWE's parent company in January 2004, so it's been a year now, after a former employee filed a federal lawsuit accusing him and another former executive of serious sexual misconduct. At the time, McMahon stepped down from his position as executive chairman of the board of directors at WWE's parent company, TKO Group Holdings. He continued to deny wrongdoing following the filing of the lawsuit. McMahon stepped down as WWE's CEO in 2022 amid an investigation into allegations that matched those in the lawsuit. The SEC said Friday that one agreement was signed in 2019 and the other in 2022. One agreement required McMahon to pay a former employee $3 million in exchange for the former workers' agreement to not disclose her relationship with McMahon and release of potential claims against WWE and McMahon. The other agreement obligated McMahon to pay a former WWE independent contractor $7.5 million in exchange for the independent contractor's agreement to not disclose her allegations against McMahon and her release of potential claims against WWE and McMahon, the SEC said. So, not denying or confirming, but clearly $10 million in payouts to keep these women quiet about whatever it was that he was doing. It doesn't sound like it ended well, or, you can figure it out on yourself, for yourself. Anna Callis, a lawyer for Janelle Grant, who is a former WWE employee who filed a lawsuit against the company and McMahon, accusing him of sexual battery and trafficking, said in a statement that the SEC's charges are confirmation that McMahon broke the law to cover up his behavior. The SEC's charges prove that the NDA Vince McMahon coerced Ms. Grant into signing violates the law. I don't know if that's so. The charges prove that coerced into signing violates the law, and therefore her case must be heard in court, Callis said. Well, while prosecutors for the South District of New York continue their criminal investigation, we look forward to bringing forward new evidence in our civil case. Now, maybe like the Conor McGregor thing, the requirement or the threshold for a conviction in a civil case is probably lower than in a criminal case. But then again, it looks like Vince is under criminal investigation still. So 2 more hurdles to clear. The Associated Press does not normally name people who make sexual assault allegations unless they come forward publicly, which Grant did. McMahon has denied Grant's allegations. By McMahon not disclosing the agreements to WWE's board, legal department, accountants, financial reporting personnel, or auditor, it circumvented the company's system of internal accounting controls and caused material misstatements in its 2018 and 2021 financial statements, the commission said. So, okay, yeah, that's true. Okay, so he didn't declare this, and then when they file, I guess their taxes or whatever, suddenly there's $10 million that they haven't disclosed. So not a small thing. Okay. The SEC's order found that because the payments required by the 2019 and 2022 agreements were not recorded, WWE overstated its 2018 net income by approximately 8% and its 2021 net income by about 1.7%. Okay. Once WWE learned of the settlement agreements, it issued a restatement of its financial statements in August 2022. Quote, company executives cannot enter into material agreements on behalf of the company they serve and withhold that information from the company's control functions and auditor. Thomas P. Smith Jr., Associate Regional Director in the New York Regional Office, said in a statement, McMahon was the leader and most recognizable face at WWE for decades. When he purchased what was then the World Wrestling Federation from his father in 1982, wrestling matches took place in small venues and appeared on local cable channels. WWE matches are now held in professional sports stadiums, and the company's weekly live television program, Raw, made its debut on Netflix on Monday, where it had 4.9 million views globally and averaged 2.6 million households in the U.S., according to Video Amp. Oh, boy. Okay. So, what to think? Here's what I was saying earlier, or what I was thinking earlier. This, to me, is a tragedy, in a sense. And it seems to be an obvious case of a man who let his demons get the best of him. And at a time when the company is doing better than it ever has, here he is having to deal with this shit. It's funny. I was watching Mel Gibson on Joe Rogan, and Mel Gibson, man, certainly without his own controversy, not without his own controversies, was saying, and he talked about them a little bit, but that's not what I'm getting into. He said, at his age, and he's probably 70 or maybe even a little older, although he looks great. He said, I'm in the third stage of life. If you think of life in terms of, a 3-act script or story. I'm in the third act. He looked at Rogan, who's, probably my age in his, mid 50s. And he says, you're in the second act. And here's Vince in the third act of his life, having to deal with this absolute shit. And it's just a shame that the person who was able to build this thing, not by himself, don't misunderstand me. He didn't do it by himself. I mean, there are other tons of, and a long list of performers out there who all have many things to say about Vince. But here he was, building this thing, and at the same time, behind the scenes, just a fucking train wreck. And so it's sad. I've been a wrestling fan my whole life since the days of Bruno, back when, before he owned it, when his father owned it. He was a regional promotion here in South Jersey, where he was just holding the mic. I just saw the Raw premiere on Netflix. I enjoyed it. I have my share of questions, but there's no place for this kind of shit. And unfortunately, this is probably what he'll spend out his remaining years dealing with. I can't see, like Conor McGregor, he'll probably be convicted, at least in the civil case. I don't know about the criminal case, but he doesn't have a lot of time to erase this asterisk. So, yeah, that's what's happening with that. I'm going to be covering more of this stuff as it pops up. And maybe I'll even cover the upcoming Royal Rumble. Maybe I'll live stream the Royal Rumble, my coverage of it, and just kind of go from there. Okay, that's my video. Like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, take care, everyone. God bless you. Have a good. Hey, everybody. This is the American Werewolf. Thanks for stopping by. Like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button. Thank you.